Hey everyone, Ben from Living Survival, and today we're going to take a look at another knife from Justifier Knives. This is the Courageous Chopper, so stick with me. So I previously reviewed the Scandal Bush knife from Justifier Knives, and this is a sick knife. You can see it's made custom for my channel, and it's a great all-around bush knife. Scandi grind, I like it a lot. And today we have the Courageous Chopper. Obviously much bigger knife here. It's got an 8-inch overall cutting surface and 14 inches overall. Again, another very good looking knife. It's got a very nice handle here. Let's get a close-up of that handle. You can see the pins there. It's a 1/4 inch in width, and as I said, 14 inches overall. Got a finger choil here up front, and then it's got a convex grind. From back to front here, you see that he has shock cord tied in there to the 2 holes to make sort of a handle that's easy to grip onto when chopping, and it does feel very comfortable. Feels well balanced. And on up into that convex grind. It does have a secondary bevel here, so we'll see how well that holds up. The only thing I noticed that I don't particularly like is this drilled out hole here. Obviously it's put there so that you can sharpen the blade all the way to the end. But to me, instead of just drilling a hole there, I'd rather have it just stop. But that's more or less just a cosmetic preference on my part. You can see it does have liners there. It's 01 tool steel, and so it should hold up pretty well. It comes with a nice Kydex sheath. Knife slides right in and clicks into place. He even made a custom ferro rod similar to the one he did on the Scandal Bush knife, and then on the back there's a tech lock, so you can easily lock it on to your belt. So now that we've taken a look at some of the specs, and since it's called the Courageous Chopper, let's put it to the test and start chopping. Some pretty thick vines here. Couple chops, no problem. Bites in deep. Made little work of that tree. Look how deep that bites in. You can see the weight of the blade. I mean, it just chops really well. You can just let the tool do the work. I don't even have to chop very hard. And it chops right through. You can see it's able to chop some pretty decent sized stuff pretty quickly. Pretty happy with it. I really like tech locks when it comes to bigger sheaths. They seem to stay on my side better. This one would be better for me if it was mounted a little bit higher, but it stays on pretty well. It's just you got to reach up pretty high to pull the knife out, so I'd prefer it down a little bit lower. So after a couple hours of walking around and chopping stuff, the blade doesn't have one single little dent or ding or anything in it. It's holding up really well. So I'm happy with it. It's a really good chopper. It's pretty comfortable in my hand. I didn't try it with gloves. Once in a while it does want to slip a little bit, and then your pinky kind of grabs onto the edge of the handle scale there, but not too bad. And as you can see by some of those chops, you know, you can really let the tool do the work, which is what I like. You know, minimal effort is best, especially in a survival situation. And so, I mean, it's still really, really sharp. Now, I'm not going to do any batoning with it. I assume, you know, I'll leave that for someone else in the gauntlet. I mainly just wanted to get out here and just, you know, chop, chop, chop. And that's obviously what it's made to do. And the 01 tool steel holds up really well. It holds an edge really well. So I just want to do some finer work with this knife and just see what it's all about when it comes to the finer stuff. It's actually pretty comfortable, even choked back as in like in a chopping position. I actually feel like I have a decent amount of control compared to some other knives that are this big. I like that it has no jimping on the top, although it does have a pretty sharp spine. I'm sure it strikes a ferro rod pretty well. And it just slices right through this green wood. It's got really nice control no matter where you plant your hand. The shot cord gets in the way a little bit when you're trying to choke up on it. I'd probably remove that and just put a lanyard on the bottom so that I did have something I could wrap around my hand when chopping, but when doing the finer stuff I want to be able to grip up higher, and it's pretty comfortable. I think the choil's just about right. It's sharp pretty much all the way throughout the blade, and it's actually pretty comfortable no matter where you use the blade. The blade has stayed extremely sharp Even through all that chopping, you can see it's just peeling layers off this stick here with minimal effort. I'm barely pulling here. You see I'm pretty beat up from not wearing gloves and chopping all those trees earlier. You know, there's a lot of wasted space right here to me. I know that it's a choil down here, but if the handle came up a little bit further and maybe just had the choil end, you know, at the blade and just have it taper off, that might be better. When I'm choking up on the knife, you know, you pretty much lose half the handle in your hand, and there's a lot of jaggedness right here, so it kind of gives me a little bit of a hot spot. Not actually too bad, surprisingly, but it does feel much better down where the handle is. I like the handle on the knife. It'd just be nice if it went up a little bit further maybe, and this choil went into the blade so that you lose a lot of this, you know, dead space that you have here. Otherwise, it's pretty comfortable. It slices really well. So, you know, you get a great chopper and you get something that slices really well, which is going to help you not only process down firewood, but would also help you with the finer shavings and things like that to get a fire started. Now, he put a tech lock on the sheath, which is really nice. I do like tech locks on larger sheaths because it makes it easy to get it on and off of your belt, especially thick belts like this rigger's belt here. I do wish that it was higher up though, so that it rode lower down, so they didn't have to reach up so high to pull the knife out. That being said, it is a functional sheath and it works pretty well. I also like the matching ferro rod here that goes in the holder, and then it also matches the design of the knife handle. And it does shower some pretty nice sparks with that 90-degree edge, so I don't see any issue getting a fire going with this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, taking a look at the Justifier Knives Courageous Chopper. I think it does do just that. It's a pretty good chopper, one of the best that I've used actually. It's pretty comfortable in my hand, although it is a little bit slippy. If I wrap some tape around it or something like that, just to give it a little bit more grip, I could chop even harder. But with this knife, honestly, with the sweep of the blade and the grind that's on it, 01 tool steel and being a 1/4 inch thick, it really does do a lot of the work for you, so you can kind of take smaller chops and it gets the job done. I chopped through dead stuff, soft stuff, hard stuff, and it did really well with all different types of wood. The edge is perfect. I don't see any damage to the edge whatsoever, and it's still very sharp. So even with the finer stuff, it is pretty comfortable to choke up. Again, you know, maybe just some handle revisions would be all that I would need on this knife, just to make it, you know, a little more perfect than it already is at chopping. And at the finer stuff, obviously I'm always going to have a smaller knife with me to do the finer stuff, so when I take a knife like this out to the woods, it's purely just to go out and chop. It's pretty lightweight for the amount of steel that it has, so I mean, it's comfortable in the hand, it's well balanced. So I'm going to send it on to another member of the gauntlet who will put it through, you know, more of a review, and hopefully they'll do some batoning with it and do some other fun stuff with this knife, so you can see more of what it's capable of doing. I'm going to put some links below to Justifier Knives where you can check out this knife and all the other models that he makes. I'm also going to put a link to the gauntlet.tv, which is the Gauntlet website, where you can see this review and all the other reviews and all the other products that we've reviewed in the past. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Please give it a big thumbs up for me. Leave me some comments below on what you think about the Courageous Chopper. Please share this to any friends who might be interested on social media, Google, Facebook, and Twitter. If you guys want to follow me on Google, Facebook, and Twitter, my links are all below. All you have to do is click show more. As always, guys, if you haven't already done so, I hope you click that red subscribe button and subscribe for more videos.